How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good.
Uh, what are you who are you reading?
Who am I reading? I am reading, like I said, with my new comic book love. I don't think I can name all these people because this is like got so many different names on it, so I'll have to send them to you. But
Okay.
I'm really, like I said, I'm in my comic book era. So I'm reading Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, The Lost Summers, and I got this from Close Encounters. So I'm getting my Buffy fix because like this is the year of the vampire
Yep.
and just, always returning to it because it's just my love. So that is what I'm reading at the moment. And I feel like this time of year reading I'm not saying reading graphic novels is easier, but sometimes it's like it's just what your brain needs. Like
Yeah.
it should be acceptable for grown-ups to read books with pictures, in my opinion. So,
Well, that's good because the guest we have on today, we're actually going to
oh,
talk to a little bit about that.
it's almost as if I planned it or something.
Oh, I am such a Buffy purist that I've looked at the comics because you sent me some years ago.
Yeah,
So I've like had a flick through and then I've forgotten them. And I only watched Angel for the first time
yeah,
recently, and I will not watch it again. Like,
no,
I'm glad I watched it.
you've done it now.
I've done it. I don't need to go back. There are some episodes that I would rewatch,
Yeah,
mainly the ones with Buffy and anything with Spike in. I didn't know Spike was going to be in it. So, how I avoided that spoiler for like 25 years,
yeah,
I just don't
yeah.
know.
Not just
But
Spike, but also Harmony.
yeah, Harmony, obviously Cordelia's there. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. So, I'm a purist. I love the thing, but I'm looking forward to the reboot.
yeah, yeah, I
So,
get you.
I've been sent this proof,
Ooh, Sarah Crossan.
yeah, of Gone for Good by Sarah Crossan. So it's a thriller, but it's told in verse. I know.
Ooh.
So I haven't started it yet, but it's a
Is
poetry
that
thriller, and I don't know
are
what to
you
expect, and I'm
are
really
you not are you
excited.
not you've not started it yet because it's going to make you feel bad that you like your
That I can't
writing
write.
isn't like
Yes.
this? Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's why I put off reading a lot of books. I'm like, this is going to make me feel bad about my own
Yeah.
skills.
And also I read one when that came out and when that was such a big success, and
Oh yeah.
I just ugly cried
Yeah.
like about from about two-thirds of the way through to the end.
Yeah.
So even though it's a thriller, I think she's probably still got those.
Mm.
Uh, she's still going to have those moments in it. So I need to be emotionally prepared, and yeah, not be like, oh my god, why is my own work not like this? So
Yeah. Fair. What you been watching?
I have God, I don't know what I've been watching.
May I interject?
Yes, what have you been watching?
I know that we have both watched all of Derry now.
Yes,
Welcome to Derry. And we both have thoughts and opinions on it, but
we do.
happy to say the final episode was excellent.
Excellent,
Yeah.
and should have been the opening of episode 8
Yeah.
should have been the opening of episode 1
You're so right. You're
because it
so
was
right.
unbelievable, and you could have done it and then you could have gone record
Yeah.
scratch, go back to the beginning, and then it was the end because it was brilliant,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was.
was gory and creepy, and
Mm.
Pennywise was excellent. uh
Oh,
so yeah, it was good. They've set it up for season 2. Will we get a
yeah.
season 2?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Who knows?
I think there's actually 3 seasons already. Like that's been the
Oh
agreement.
right, okay.
Yeah.
So, and
To
yeah,
IMD.
won't spoil it.
No, no. My favorite thing in the world is to finish watching a season, a series or a film, and hopping onto IMDb and looking at all the trivia. I love it. And the spoilers.
Yeah, me too. And there were characters, and I was like, is that
Mm,
character? So I went and had a
same.
look, yeah, at the cast lists and the surnames, and I was like, oh. And I don't
Yeah.
think it did a good enough job of telling us that stuff, but maybe it's on purpose. But I wanted
Well,
that.
yeah, I agree because there was one character, I don't think I'm spoiling this, but I was like, that character name is already in the It universe.
Yeah. Beep beep.
Nice one.
Right. We've got a
Okay.
guest who is waiting for us instead of us talking rubbish.
Okay.
So before I let them in, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. So today we have got Wren James. Wren is the author of many young adult novels, including Last Seen Online, which I think we're going to talk about today, and The Loneliest Girl in the Universe, which is in development as a feature film, which is so exciting.
Ooh.
Wren is a story consultant on seasons 2 and 3 of Netflix's very own Heartstopper, which, I mean, that's serious chops there, isn't it?
Yeah, never
Um,
heard of it.
they are the founder of the Climate Fiction Writers League, creator of Climate Conscious Writers Handbook, and editor of Future Hopes, Hopeful Stories in a Time of Climate Change. So someone who's spinning a lot of plates, it sounds like. So without further
Definitely.
ado, I'm going to let them in and say hello.
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 Hi, Ren.
Hi.
Oh, who's that?
I've carefully arranged it so you can be in shot for you both.
Oh, we can see a doggy in Wren's background. Wren, what's the dog
Yeah.
called?
This is Oliver.
Oh,
He's just had his
Oh,
walk, so he's having a little nap. I really should just make him the focus, shouldn't I?
yeah. He is not having a nap. He is looking at you like, how dare you do some work today?
Yeah,
This is
how dare you
rude and
disturb me?
ridiculous. Yeah.
He's
he
got a little
looks.
hot water bottle as well. He's so
Oh,
cozy.
he looks like a good boy, but is he the best boy?
He is the best boy. Yeah, can't
Good,
deny it.
good.
Yeah. Well,
Glad to
that's
hear
okay because Loli is the best girl. Um,
it.
so
Are we allowed to share that Cynthia has recently been using her sad lamp and made a discovery about her dog?
yeah.
What does your dog do?
She hogs it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I've got
He needs her
photographs.
vitamin D.
She does, and it was so funny because I put it on and it's so bright. And I've had it, my mum bought it me ages ago because I am a sad, sad winter girly. And then mum was going, use it. And I'm like, oh, it's too bright. I'll try it. And then Georgia was like, use it. And I was like, oh God, everyone's telling me. So I did. And I put it up on I prop it up in front of the sofa. So when I'm having my coffee in the morning and kind of waking up, it's there. And Loli has just started lying directly in front of it. And I nipped out one day and came back and like nipped out of the room for 2 seconds. And she had just her face smushed against it because it was
Like
a tiny bit
snake
warm.
on a heat lamp.
Yeah,
It's
just
giving
like,
off heat.
and she loves it.
Amazing.
So we have sad lamp time in the morning now.
That's
And
so cute.
only I could adopt a dog that had
Yeah,
sad.
matching sad. Yeah.
Oh, she's copying me really bad.
Yeah.
So, Wren, we have introduced you already. So, you are someone who has a lot of strings to your bow and must be constantly busy.
Yeah, it's getting that way where I have to
Yeah.
like hone back what I can do so I actually get to write.
Yeah. Are you someone who will say yes to everything and worry about it later?
Yeah, truly. I say yes to it all because I have an existential fear that I'm just going to run out of work. And then what actually happens is I can't do all of it. And I have to kind of give everyone long, long deadlines. But I'm getting
Yeah.
there. I'm getting better at the work-life balance bit of it, the job.
It's tough, isn't it? Because writing is one of those weird things where you have such long lead-in times and payment is a funny thing. You don't get paid all in one
Mm.
go. You get paid at certain deadlines. So sometimes when you've got a big gap, either money wise or work wise, you are tempted to just say yes to everything. And then I've learned that all of those things will come together and all be expected at the same time. So you end up being
Yeah.
incredibly busy.
And a big
Yeah.
thing for me is like writing is so lonely as well. I feel like I'm always just in a room by myself. But then I seek out work where I can be around other people, which
Yeah.
then takes you out of the house so you're not doing the deadlines.
Yeah, exactly. Because just like missing one day can throw you out of sync with everything, can't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a little day out with another writer yesterday. So, of course, we just gossiped all day and it was brilliant. But I've done nothing today. I've been knackered and, you know, you need to get back in the mindset of work, definitely.
Yeah. I had because I had such a long break, not break, that's the wrong word, but when my first book came out and then there was nothing for so long, I think my biggest fear is like not having work, not having like writing work. So I feel like I probably say yes to too much. It's just what
It's a
happens,
hard
isn't it?
balance. But
Yeah.
I guess all of
Yeah,
it is like fodder for your writing eventually. When you get around to it, you'll have
Yeah.
got loads of new experiences to put in the books. So
that's true. So, how did you end up in this position? How did you end up being a writer? Because you started very young, is that right?
I did. I started writing my first published novel when I was 16 in an English class. It was the first thing I'd ever written. So I was always a huge reader. I remember like my earliest memory is being about 5 or 6 and going to get a copy of The Magic Faraway Tree off the bookshelf and reading it all on my own and being just so thrilled at the idea that I could read a book on my own. And I've just never stopped ever since. And I used to go and read everything in my local library until I got to the point where I'd read everything in the children's section and was kind of itching for more. And that's when I started thinking about what I wanted to write myself. And especially growing up, realizing I was queer from when I was about 12 or 13, and then not being able to find really any books with queer characters. I always had this like itch to write and create my own stories that was stuff I wanted to read. So I was writing for myself as my first reader. And I never really saw it as like a job. I didn't really know that you could be a writer when you were young because all of the big writers were a lot older. So I had like no intentions of getting published. It wasn't even something that I thought was possible. It was purely just a creative, fun thing for me to do, especially with my friends who were doing NaNoWriMo and stuff. And we would kind of talk about our projects. And then I was in my third year of uni and I finished my first book, which was a time travel reincarnation romance set across lots of different areas of time. And there was an open call for Harper Voyager, who it was like all over the internet that for the first time they were doing this open call where you didn't need an agent, you could just send your book off. And a few of my friends said, you should send your story off for this. So I sent it off just because I was like, oh, well, if it's the only time this chance is coming along, I should probably give it a go. Did not hear anything back, was completely ignored. But it was kind of the push for me to be like, well, now I've sent it out to someone, I might as well do something else with this manuscript. So I sent it off to some literary agents in the UK. And I remember I just Googled a list of agents and found this A to Z list of them all. And I was like, I'm going to start at the bottom of the list with the surnames going Z, X, Y, W, because I feel like they'll get less submissions from the people at the top of the list. So I went my way up and got to W, Claire Wilson. I think I probably sent it to about 10 agents. I didn't like keep a list or anything, but not many. And she wanted to read the full manuscript. And she had lots of notes. I think she gave me about 10 pages of notes on it. And she said,
Wow.
we did a revise and resubmit where if I could make those changes, she would represent me. And I was still at uni, so I kind of did it very slowly, I think over the course of a year. But I made all these big changes that she'd asked for that were kind of structural things. Like one of the timelines was a dystopia set in the far future, and it was right at the end of when the Hunger Games divergent dystopian trend was ending. So she wanted me to change that third of the story to not be dystopian, stuff like that. So I did all those edits and then sent it back, and she offered to represent me, and she's been my agent ever since for 12 years. So I've been very, very lucky with my journey. I think I was kind of submitting it exactly the right time when all of the big US YA authors like Rainbow Rowell and John Green were getting really big, but there weren't necessarily as many UK ones. So publishers were on the lookout and actively seeking as much UK YA as they could find. So we really got lucky with the timing there. And I got 2 offers within 2 weeks of my book going out to editors. And they both had very different takes on what they wanted structurally to do with it. One of the editors really wanted to cut out the historical storylines and keep it quite contemporary with like very small flashbacks to the other lives of these characters. And then the other editor really wanted to like keep them equal and show all of these lives fully, which having done a lot of historical research to make them, I wanted to keep it. So I knew immediately which editor I wanted to work with, which made making a choice very easy. And yeah, I ended up with Walker Books, and I have been with the same editorial team ever since. My editor was my editor for 10 years until she left the publishing industry completely to become a lecturer. So I've had very stable, same agent, same editor all the way through my career, which has been amazing because they've kind of always said, like, whatever you want to write, we'll publish it, we'll follow you wherever you want to go, which I know is very rare for authors. Like you typically have to write to, if you do something well and it sells, they want more of that. Whereas I kind of go all over the place and write in different genres. And because I've had that same stable team, they're very happy to follow me where I'll take them. So I feel very, very lucky in my publishing journey so far.
That is really impressive. That's the kind of support that you dream that you will have, I think. And I think knowing that you're allowed to flit around so much is exciting, but also you probably find your feet in something and, you know, you pour your heart and soul into it. And that's, at the end of the day, what makes a really good book. Sometimes when you're just writing to follow a trend or, like you said, more of the same thing. I've done that and I found it hard because it's not, I guess that initial idea hasn't necessarily come from you. And for me, that's a really big thing, that that idea has to be mine for me to enjoy writing it, care about it, I guess. That sounds like I don't care about anything I've ever done. But there's definitely a difference between something that comes from you and, like, that very first book that you wrote, no expectation attached to it. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody was waiting for it. So you kind of did what you wanted. And then the bit when you said about cutting out the historical research, like, that stuff takes time. And it's obviously in there for a reason. So to get told to cut something like that, I would be like, no, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So I'm glad you had somebody else who was like, no, we like it. We're on board. But yeah, just fab.
Yeah, and I think a big thing as well is that I feel like they have invested in helping me improve my skills because they do, like, want to have a long-term career with me. So they're not just like rushing books through editorial process, but actually taking the time to, like, help me learn why and how we're editing from when I was like 19 and so young.
Wow.
They really, like, invested in my career and, like, meant that I had the longevity to stay here today. So I'm very grateful to Walker Books. They're amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. What, do you mind if I ask, what were you doing at uni? What were you studying?
So I actually studied chemistry and physics, so completely different from writing, which I think ended up being very useful because I was just doing, like, algebra and stuff for my coursework. I didn't write a single essay during my degree, so I didn't have, like, any Word documents hanging over me. So actually writing for fun was very different, and it was, like, kind of stress relief in a way that I think if I'd been doing something like English lit, I wouldn't have written a novel at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like, you know, doing something like the course that you did and then being able to dip into the story and the writing stuff, like, it's a little treat for the soul, isn't it? And because I'm a librarian and I did library studies at uni, and I don't think I read a single book while I was there. Like,
Really?
I felt really guilty about reading fiction, like, for some reason. It was like it was too it was just like that's my work kind of thing. I don't know. It was really odd. So it's nice that you had the balance so that you could fit both. You could do both.
Yeah. I've had so many friends say that like, after uni, it takes a good few years to get the love of reading and being able to do it for fun back, because you're just doing it all the time and it becomes work.
Yeah.
I don't think I felt like that until I was trying to write to get published, when I had it in my head that that's what I was trying to do. And then you end up reading a bit less anyway because you were writing so much. Because reading was, when you'd go for a job interview or something, they'd be like, and what are your hobbies? And everyone's like really well-rounded in, I do this sport and I do that. And I'd be like, I like books, I like to read. And it doesn't, it's like not a legitimate hobby. But of course it is, and I'm kind of more well-rounded than some other people because of books and the empathy that they give you.
Absolutely.
But I changed my degree because of a book.
Did you really?
Yeah. And the Da Vinci Code, which sounds like the cheesiest
Amazing.
thing ever. But I was doing drama because I'd always wanted to be an actor, I thought. And I was getting to the point where I really hated this degree that I was doing. And
Mm.
then yeah, just really hated it. And I was reading the Da Vinci Code, and the guy in it was an art historian. And I was like, oh, what? What's one of these guys? And he was traveling to places and he was like looking at beautiful buildings and artwork. And I was like, that's a job. This is so
Sounds
cool.
good.
So I had a little Google, and Manchester University near me did an art history degree. So I was like, right, okay, I want to do that instead. So I went and applied. And because I was like 2021, I'd already been to uni, they kind of, I think you needed quite good A levels to get in, which I didn't really have. But I don't know. I blagged my way in.
It doesn't sound like you at all.
Talked my way onto the course. Best thing I ever did. Like,
That's incredible.
it was just brilliant. So I did art history and archaeology. Again, nothing related to reading, but it opened up this whole new world, and I've used so much of it in writing. It's just been brilliant. And
That's really cool.
my next book coming out is art history, like fan
Amazing.
fiction.
One thing about, sorry, the work thing and the, doing it for fun, and it when I'm the sort of person, I don't know if everybody does this, but if I break up with somebody, they don't exist anymore. I put any like memory of them, anything that they've given me, it's all gone. And I just think, right, I'm moving on now. I will never see that person again. And I think that's how I deal with rejection, maybe. Think that the thing doesn't exist. So when I was going through my, trying to get an agent and all of that experience, and I know like authors say, oh, I was really lucky and it was really good timing and all that sort of stuff. And there is a lot of that. And also there's talent and hard work, I just want to say as well. But when I was getting all the rejections, and whereas I would normally go, right, this thing doesn't exist, I would then go into work and be surrounded by books. Ugh, a horrible thing that I was trying to not think about. And I was reading a lot. I think if you're reading stuff in around the sort of genre that you're writing, and you're not getting anywhere, but then you pick up a book and you think, oh, why did this get published? And nobody wants to publish my stuff. So so that was always fun when I was like, yup, books don't exist to me. And then working in a library.
Like a push-pull toxic relationship.
Yeah. I'm sure it's really healthy to pretend that things that have upset you don't exist. I'm sure it won't, catch up with me later in life. But anyway, it's always funny.
I'm just sat here giggling because I've just got the vision of your husband with his ear pressed to the other side of the door, being like, is this a message? Is she trying to tell me something? Or you go out and just start putting all of his things in a box.
Yeah, I'll be like, who are you? Who are you? Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. So we are going to talk about some research that you may have done for various different books. You've not told us what it's going to be. So we're here, we're seated. What are you going to tell us about?
So I'm going to talk about Lasting Unknown, which is my latest book. It's set in LA. It's a murder mystery about a girl who goes to school with a boy whose mum was an actress on an old TV show. She's like one of the biggest actors in Hollywood. She's a bit like Gwyneth Paltrow, huge A-lister. But when she was in her 20s, she was on a TV show called Loch and Ness, which had to be shut down during filming because one of the actors murdered his co-star and went to prison for this murder. It was this huge scandal in Hollywood. And this girl is talking to the boy she goes to school with, and he says, this guy who went to prison, he was my godfather, and I don't believe he did this murder. I don't think he killed his co-star. And so they kind of obviously team up, and they do a bit of like girl detective stuff to investigate this murder mystery from about 10 years ago. And a big thing they find during the search to solve this murder is that there was a big fandom around Loch and Ness, the TV show. And the fans were really convinced that the two actors, Rob and Nathan, who were involved in this murder, were secretly in a relationship. And they had all of these big blogs trying to prove that they were dating, and it was being hidden from the world. And so throughout all of the filming of the TV show, any kind of clips or promo or paparazzi pictures, they were kind of analyzing, like people do with Taylor Swift or Harry Styles, to prove what was going on in their personal lives, which is obviously great for when you're trying to solve a murder, and every movement of the suspect and the victims' lives are documented, and you can see everywhere they went. So they're kind of analysing all these old blog posts from 10 years ago and trying to use them as evidence in this murder mystery. And that kind of was inspired by my huge love of fandom and fandom conspiracies. I grew up reading lots of these kinds of rabbit hole, insane areas of the internet where people get really fixated on whether Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson are dating, or whether Taylor Swift is gay, or all of these kinds of things. And then they like try and prove it with evidence. And it's so clear from the outside that it's all in their head, and that the evidence they're sharing could be like taken in any direction depending on your bias and your point of view. But so which makes them fascinating to read, because they're completely unreliable narrators, but they're so invested in their point of view that they will do anything to prove it. So my research that I wanted to talk about is basically just all of the fandom essays that I read as research for this book, because I have so many interesting ones that I looked at and took notes on and tried to draw from and pay homage to.
Did you say fandom essays?
Yes.
So,
okay. Do you want to know what a fandom essay is? Right. So this is a very specific thing. Sometimes they're called ship manifestos, when you're trying to like write a manifesto for why the two people you ship should be together or are secretly together. The big one that I grew up with, which I read when I was about 14, was called The Miss Scribe Story. And it was about the Harry Potter fandom. I completely have disowned Harry Potter, so it's disappointing to me that this is the fandom it was for. But a big key player in this particular drama was Cassandra Clare, who is now an author. But at the time, she was a big name fan in the Harry Potter fandom. She was writing Ginny and Draco long, huge novel-length fanfics.
Wow.
She had huge and vast numbers of fans and followers within this world of her fic. And I believe the Mortal Instrument series is actually based on Ginny and Draco. Don't quote me on that. But like her origins, if you look for them, are still visible. Anyway, she was such a big fan that there were a lot of other people within the fandom who were really jealous of her and who really wanted to get to her level of celebrity, particularly this blogger called Miss Scribe. And she decided she was going to do whatever it took to become a big name fan like Cassandra Clare. So she started posting her fanfic, and then she would make these fake accounts to comment on her fic and hype it up and share it in all the different live journal communities and say, look how amazing this is, you have to go and read it, to try and funnel more fans her way. And then she decided that wasn't getting her enough attention, so she started to cause like these fake dramas within her life that she was blogging about, like, like she was going to hospital or saying something was going on at work. Or hiring an assistant and then having her steal her laptop, like all these kind of like EastEnders style plot lines within her blog to try and get people engaged with her, and then through that go and read her fic and support her and leave her lots of lovely comments. And she ended up becoming friends with Cassandra Clare, and there was this whole like inner circle, a clique in the fandom of the higher level, and it was actually all happening on a forum called Gryffindor Tower. So they were literally like the clique up in the tower, where looking down on everyone else in the fandom. Anyway, this obviously fell down on her head. Everyone realized that she was just weaving a web of lies, especially when she started asking for money to replace a stolen laptop, and people were like, we need to investigate this more, this seems dodgy. And so someone started writing this essay taking her down basically and proving all of her lies with evidence. So it starts by them saying like, we have evidence that she is a bad person. Here's what she did. And then they go through like linking to all of her posts with the comments and looking at the IP addresses to prove that the different accounts were posted from the same house. All of these kinds of like detective style analysis to prove that she was not who she says she was. This is all happening in about 2001, 2002, very early in the internet.
Oh, really early.
But as this essay is being posted chapter by chapter every week, Miss Scribe is in the comments, like with fake accounts, again, defending herself and trying to continue this story. So it goes on and on, even as the essay is being posted. It's this incredible artifact. And as we get further and further away from about 2001, 2002, when it was posted, all of the links are kind of breaking and it's decaying and disappearing as all the different accounts that they link to are being deleted. But you can still read it and it still is very gripping and thrilling. And I read this when I was 14, completely obsessed with it. And it kind of changed my brain chemistry in this amazing way. So that's like the foundational text of fan essays. But there's so many more we can discuss.
That's amazing. Wren, I can see the glee in your face
I know.
as you're sharing this. Like it's just I mean, I have so many questions, and I've come across things like this because a lot of this sort of stuff used to appear on Twitter quite a lot as well, wasn't it? That was a place where people would get taken down. But how does this person have the time? They must be so organised and like obsessive. And, you know, you talk about these writers who have these great big spreadsheets and like these, you know, maps of like their fantasy worlds and stuff so they can keep track of everybody. There must have been something like that going on.
Yeah, it must be like to the point where it's your whole life, like your whole social life is revolving around this online community. And it's like big stakes for these people. Like, if you're a big fan of something and then you've got this person in the fandom who is your favorite writer in the world and they're replying to your comments and connecting with you, that's like an early parasocial relationship that can be like the most important thing in your life. And so when it kind of is destroyed and severed in this way, like there's no limit to what these people will do to keep that connection alive, which is so fascinating and also scary to think about, because this is kind of such an early example of when the internet was so new. And I feel like it's happening on an even bigger scale these days. And people are specifically making these kinds of figures to like cause that kind of parasocial connection. So yeah, it's very intense and really fascinating from the outside, but I wouldn't necessarily want to be involved in it myself.
Yeah,
no,
agreed. It's exhausting. Like just thinking about it all. And I am like, I can't keep a diary. So, you know, every new year, I'm like, yeah, a start. And then 3 days in, I'm like, no, I'm bored now. I'm going to do something else. So I wouldn't have the attention span to be able to carry it out, to keep track of everything. Also, you've got to be a certain kind of strange, a certain kind of messed up to do it. It reminds me of true crime shows when you get the armchair detectives who are down looking at CCTV and they're like, right, well, he wasn't there at that time and we can figure it out because look, he's posted on this account. And I cannot believe there's not a documentary about it, because I would watch that.
There should be.
Shall we make copyright? Shall we make a documentary about it? How
Let's
cool
do
would
it.
that be?
Because also 2001, did you say that this was? So that's like, because not that I would ever think about doing anything like this, but like now you could have, it's a bit like trying to get tickets for a concert. You have like your laptop open and your iPad open and your iPhone and all these, you know, different accounts and stuff like in front of you. But like in 2001, that would have been much harder to be like, right, well, I'll be this person on this person on that, and da, da, da. So, I mean, they just mustn't have got any sleep. They would have been, I suppose they have to go into it with such confidence. There's a bit of narcissism there, I suppose, isn't there? So this like absolute confidence that you know what you're doing, that you can make other people believe, but you're also making yourself believe to a certain point, I suppose, as well. There was something recently, you might be able to tell me more who it was, but there was somebody, and I saw this on Twitter, so it's a few years ago now, so I don't go on Twitter at all now. And it was an author who was doing really, really well. I want to say it was a fantasy author, and they were presenting themselves, so they were a white author, but they were presenting themselves as Latina. And in their photos, they wore like a face covering, and the photos were always in black and white. And I think from what I saw, like followers started to sort of think, right, okay, something's not right here. And like you say, it was sort of armchair detective work. And it was like, there was stuff like, there's a photo of a Christmas tree on this person's account that has this particular
Oh wow.
yeah, and also it's on this account, and look, it's from a different angle, but it's the same ornament and it's the same tree. And I was just like, this is absolutely fascinating.
I love
Like,
that.
yeah.
That is, oh, that's what I write books about, like people going in and being like,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
let's take you down.
I'll have to see
I
if
feel like
can...
there is something in there about like if you want something that badly, you convince your brain that it is the truth. So I was
Yeah,
just reading about the author of The Salt Path, where it was all like made up. But like once you've got the ball rolling and there's so much momentum and money and excitement behind it, I guess you kind of erase the fact that it's not real and you just lean into it, and it feels so real to you that the thought that anyone could ever uncover it is like an impossibility.
Yeah.
Got good character study fodder
There is
in there.
that like there's that level of the words I was going to say narcolepsy. It's not, it's narcissism. There's that level of narcissism, or even like psychopathy, where people just think nobody is as clever as they are.
yeah.
You know, I'm doing all this and I am incredibly intelligent, and of course I'm going to get away with it, because they don't have the empathetic part of the brain to think that other people are going to put it together. And I think, yeah, they do start believing it. You see it with serial killers who are like, I'll represent myself in court, because they just don't think anyone else is able to do it for them.
Is it the other way around, where they think no one's going to read it, so I can just do and say what I want? Like that,
maybe.
Like the author of The Salt Path, they could have just said it's fiction. Like at the point where they were like having their meetings and got an eight, you know, or were they just like, oh, no one's ever really gonna, you know, dig deep on this thing. Who's going to read it? You know, publishing industry is really difficult. I'll just see how I go. And then you're like, oh, shit.
But then you would just call it fiction, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you, you know? No, it's kind of head.
Wren, can I just say thank you for bringing this to us, because we're all over it.
Yeah.
We love this. This is going to be like our new topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Where is a good place to start, like right at the beginning?
So for getting in, like reading fan essays that are on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. At the back of Last Seen Online, in my acknowledgements, I actually like give a reading list in the author's note. So,
there we go. Right, go and buy that book.
All of the
yes.
This is possibly the first author's note that has quoted like the Harry and Louis treatise, or Kayla Evidence, or Lord and Jack Antonoff, An Emotionally Broken Journey. All of these like Tumblr posts. The first time anyone's done that. But I'm very happy to provide, because there's so many interesting ones, and a lot of them are kind of eroding from the internet. So I think it's kind of important to keep them alive. The ones that are disappearing that I remembered and then couldn't find, I tracked down on the Wayback Machine or archive.org. And then on my website, I've uploaded links to them as PDFs. So you can go to my website and look at the page for Last Seen Online, and I've put them all there. So I'm kind of trying to preserve the key internet history that is most important to me. There's some really good ones.
Perfect.
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will link your website in the show notes, and then if anybody wants to deep dive,
they can. There's so much. They're so long. Some of them are like over 100,000 words. So really, like prepare to dig in, because it's going to take you a while. But they're all great as well, because they're all like leading to pictures and GIFs and videos and like so many other websites. It's such a cool format to explore and like feel like you're going into this rabbit warren of information.
I was going to say, now with stuff like AI and deep fakes and all of that sort of thing. Oh, it's just so much easier for people to just like, post loads of fake stuff and pretend to be different people, but it's just not as impressive.
No.
So
You want them to put in the work.
Yeah. I want people to work to deceive me. I don't, I want them to put the hours in and, nights spent thinking, right, what person am I posting as today? Not just like letting a computer program do it all. I'm not here for that.
No, anyone could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That makes me think of mine and George's favourite scam of recent years, which was it was the lady in France who got sent pictures of Brad Pitt asking for money from his fake hospital bed. And she sent him loads of money. But when you look at the pictures, it's just really bad Photoshop.
It's like this.
Well, yeah, he's like this, and then there's a machine in the background keeping him alive. I think there's one of him in a neck brace. Like, it is so funny, but obviously not for that lady. It's very sad. But they are like that. Somebody's put thought into that and then spent the time doing very bad Photoshop. They were not AI generated.
No.
Yeah, you want authentic fake posts.
Yeah,
I bet there is. I'm not like up to date on the current fandom dramas, but I bet there's some amazing stuff going on with AI generated like fake actors kissing pictures that people are making and stuff, and then everyone in the fandom trying to prove if they're real or fake. I would be interested to see what's going on with like the Stranger Things fandom for all the young actors in that show. I bet there's some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
but maybe as long as we've got those guys following the drama, those guys who, know how to unveil a fake, then we're all right. Because I know everybody's very worried about AI, but if we've got these guys on the case, then we can be certain that we all know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, in the most important parts of life, which is parasocial relationships, celebrity gossip.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I could just keep asking questions and keep talking about this all day. But we've actually got Cynthia, have we got some questions from readers, not readers. Listeners now.
Listener questions.
Yeah.
Can you see them? Or did I not update it quickly?
No, I've got them. So we've got a question from someone called Chloe who has said, how has the feature film process been? Which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so The Loneliest Girl in the Universe has been optioned to be a film with Amazon MGM Studios, which actually started 5 years ago in 2020, inspired by the pandemic when production companies were looking for things that could be filmed in one room in very safe environments. And it's a very isolated book about a girl on a spaceship. So it kind of would be very easy to film during a pandemic. Obviously, like the movie industry takes so long. We're now 5 years later, nearly 6 years later, and it's still ongoing. But yeah, it's kind of a very different world to my other TV experience, which has been about working on Heartstopper, which is done with a UK production company, very hands-on, interactive. This is all like in LA, so many layers of like agent, legal team, producer before you get to the actual Amazon that I don't really have much control over what's happening. I just get sent things occasionally, like the script, and then I get to admire them, and then it goes off again to go back into the cogs of the machine. But yeah, what I've seen so far is really exciting. I obviously can't really say much because it's been in the works for so long. We originally had like an actor attached who has now aged out of the role of our teenage character. So I think we're kind of going to have to recast, which is quite exciting and fun. I don't know who that's going to end up being, but yeah, it's on its journey, and I think they're going in a really fun, action-packed, like Gravity style direction with it, like really leaning into like the horror of being alone in space, attached to the outside of a spaceship, spinning off into the void, which is I can't wait to see. I hope we get to the point where I can like see that being filmed, because, well, actually, maybe seeing it being filmed will be quite boring because it'll be like green screen tennis ball. But seeing it come to life. It will be very fun, I think, if we get there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
I always think that publishing is slow, and then you hear people talking about like working with TV and film, and you think, wow, like being in publishing is quite good training for like working up to dealing with that, because that's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I actually really appreciate the time it takes because when you first write a book, it's so much like your precious baby that
Mm,
to have other people's like fingers in the pie, I think would feel quite painful. But because I
Mm.
wrote this in 2016, it feels so distant now that I don't necessarily have that same protectiveness of it, and I can kind of set the book, my version aside and be like, this is their version. They can do what they want, and it's not going to make me really, really sad or stressed because it's just like it's a different beast. So
yeah.
yeah, I do appreciate that like mental processing time because even when it's a really like loyal and faithful adaptation, it's still just different. It's a different format from what you made in your head, and that has felt to me quite hard at times. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is in a good way. Like you want it to continue on and grow this new audience who can then come back and find the book and be like, oh, this is different in a way I like. So that's fun.
Yeah, that
That's a
makes
really good
sense.
way to look at it, actually.
Yeah.
I will remember that when I'm like, why are things not happening so fast?
Yeah, you need it. You're processing.
I'll stick it on my mirror. Okay, so you have mentioned Heartstopper, so I'm going to skip to that question because that was our third question. So we've got Abby said, how did you start work on Heartstopper?
So, Heartstopper was created by Alice Oseman, who actually has the same agent as me, Claire Wilson, and we both got representation at about the same time, and we were both really young. We were, I think Alice was 17 or 18, and I was 19, 20. And we found each other and just connected on Tumblr and talked about our experiences
Oh,
of getting book deals within the same couple of months. And we've been friends ever since. That was 2012. And so we've always been each other's first reader, first editor, first sounding board. And like I was the first one she pitched Heartstopper 2 as a concept of doing it as like a web comic with illustrations. And we always help each other develop each other's plot lines. So I was already very informally her editor. For like those kinds of early stage conversations. So when she was looking to expand the writer's room for Heartstopper, because she writes all the scripts herself, she asked me if I wanted to be involved, which obviously I jumped at the chance to.
Yeah.
And a big part of my job is because Heartstopper is a graphic novel. It's so sparse compared to a prose book, where obviously you have to cut loads of stuff out to make something to go on screen. Because it's this sparse illustrated version, you can actually add in more stuff to fill the episodes. So I'm developing all of like the plot lines for the side characters like Tao and Elle and Tara and Darcy and Imogen and Sahar, who were new characters created just for the show. So that's loads of fun getting to kind of come up with 1,000 ideas, which I'm one of those authors who always has more ideas than I could ever write. I've got like a backlist, a waiting list of things I want to one day write and just not having time. So getting to just brainstorm loads and loads of ideas and bring them to Alice and the producer Patrick and be like, what if Tao did this? What if Elle did this? What if they argued about this? What if they had this realization? And then kind of going, no, 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 yes. And then going away and developing that with them in the writer's room was really fun. And I'm really, really glad that I got a chance to work on it and develop those skills of kind of visual storytelling, which is so different from novel writing.
wow.
You
That,
made me a bit emotional then. Because
yeah.
it's but that's me and Georgia. We are each other's, we met
Oh,
online, kind of slightly via my husband. So we knew each other was a real person. Um, and like if I'm coming up with an idea, I will just send her 8,000 text messages. And so it's always first reader, first person who you speak to, and having that connection with somebody else within this industry for so long
Yeah.
especially right at the beginning of your career. It's so special and it's so important. And yeah,
Yeah.
you made me a little bit tearful.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you two have got that as well, because it's a real lifeline in a
Oh,
time when
yeah.
you really feel like very helpless when you send your book off and it's your baby, and then you don't really have control over what happens to it or hear what's going on. Like you don't get
Yeah.
answers to a lot of questions at the start
Yeah.
of your publishing career. So yeah, having a sounding board who's enthusiastic and engaged and like on your side is so crucial. And yeah, Alice is definitely a lifeline for me in that regard.
Oh, that's
Oh,
lovely. That and I agree completely. And I think it, we're talking about, sort of shadier side of the internet, but actually it's a wonderful tool as well, just for creating these friendships and being able to communicate with people. And like Cynthia said, we connected on Wattpad. That's where we connected.
Amazing.
And yeah, and I've got such a soft spot for Wattpad. I still have the app on my phone and stuff, and I dip in and out. But I think what you said as well earlier on about writing being such an isolating sort of thing, again, that's why it's important to have this connection and this person that you can reach out to, and they get it and all of that. And I think actually some of the other people that we've spoken to have said the same thing as well. So, and it's so cool that she was like, yeah, I know a writer.
yeah.
Yeah, that she was allowed to make a choice
Yeah,
that she knew she worked well with. Yeah, she was very,
yeah.
very lucky with her process of getting it
Love
adapted.
that. And it wasn't just a case of, yeah, I know a writer, they're my friend. I'm gonna bring them in, and then the guys are like, this isn't really working. It's the talent that you bought as
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they did bring
friendship.
me back for a second season, so hopefully that means I did a good job. I
Yeah.
kept getting hired again. But it could have just
Uh,
been nepotism at the start. Who knows? They gave me a chance and it worked out.
I love
yeah.
that Wren is a reformed Nepo baby.
Have we got time for another question? I think,
um,
yeah.
yeah, quick one. Quick.
Yeah, what made you want to write a graphic novel?
Well, this ties perfectly into the last question because Heartstopper was the reason, not only because I'd seen like this amazing new industry thrive around Heartstopper. Before that came out, there wasn't really a UK graphic novel industry. There was a huge genre in of things being published in the US, but when Heartstopper was first pitched, UK publishers didn't really know what to do with it. And then it became so popular, there's now been like this whole new genre has been set up, and UK publishers are actually seeking out graphic novels to get to be the next Heartstopper. So that was like this amazing opportunity that hasn't been there before. And doing the screenwriting and the script editing, it gave me the skills to write a script for a graphic novel, which I know
Mm.
seems like very
Okay.
different, but they're both kind of about directing or art directing the vision for what you want someone else to create, whether that's like a scene that's being filmed or a storyboard panel of a graphic novel. So I kind of had those skills to like hone down a story and be like, right, we can tell this in the visual aspect, which I'm going to write the instructions for someone else to illustrate. And then I need to put this bit of exposition in background detail on a sign, or it might have to be in dialogue, but you always want to like limit how much is in the dialogue because you don't want it to sound like they're telling you too much. But yeah, all of those skills were the same skills as I've been using in the writer's room. So I felt like it was like something I wanted to make use of. And so I kind of had not really discussed the idea much with my agent or my editor. I just was like, I want to see if I can write a graphic novel script. And I thought I was best to present them with like proof rather than be like ask for permission. I wanted to be like, I think I here's my attempt at this. Would you like pay for an illustrator, basically? So I wrote a sample script in the first few chapters and sent it to my publisher, and they loved it. And they said it was like one of their first graphic novels that Walker have commissioned. So it's kind
Oh,
of
cool.
starting from scratch for them as well. They're obviously one of the best publishers around for picture books. They've got so
Mm.
many legends in the world of illustrated picture books, but it was their first like teen graphic novel that they were commissioning. And I think they've been very excited since to expand their list a bit there. So we kind of all learned to get together how to do this, from like the art director to my editor to me and the illustrator. It was all our first go around on this. So it's been a fun process doing it. But yeah, I really just was in love with the format and the way of writing and working as a team. Again, coming back to the fact that writing is so solitary, I really wanted more writers' rooms and working together with other people and being collaborative.
Yeah, and does it take longer because there are more people involved?
So much longer, yeah. So
Mm.
I finished the script for the graphic novel in 2023, and
Mm.
then it has been with the illustrator for 2 years being written,
Wow.
being drawn. So
Wow.
it's a really long process. And that means that kind of it's quite fun in a way, because by the time I get pages, I've forgotten a lot of it, and then I'm laughing at the jokes and being like, okay, I know this works because it made me laugh. And it's such a joy. And it's that like bit of distance that makes you feel less precious about it. You can kind of give the illustrator room to put her own spin on it as well, which is lovely.
That's lovely. My book that's coming out next year is set at a convention. It's called Feuds and Cons, and I have mentioned it on every pod that we've done so far, so I'm going to mention it again. But it's for the convention is for a TV show called Vampire Falls, and recently I've had to come up with some pitches for like book 3 with the publisher who's publishing Feuds and Cons, and I thought I'm just going to throw this in here. So I was like, I did a pitch for a Vampire Falls novel. And I was having a chat with my agent about it, and she was like, I think it would be fun, but it might be a bit tricky, or we have to see how it goes, sort of thing. And I was like, I think it would be a brilliant graphic novel, and so that's the dream. That's the next step. But
Amazing.
But were you a big graphic novel reader as well?
Yes, have read like hundreds of them,
Yeah,
but it's quite difficult to get your hands on a script because most graphic novels are written by the person who illustrates them, so they kind of do
Yeah.
it as one step.
yeah.
There's like the Marvel comics where you have a writer and then it goes to an illustrator, but that's kind of really about it. So it was really difficult for us all to get our hands on examples. So if you would like an example of a graphic novel script, I'm very happy to send you mine so you can see like the format we ended up on
Oh,
for how to
that would be
lay it out.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't fishing, by the way. That would be lovely. Thank
No,
you.
I'm a huge reader of graphic novels, so the more we can get, the merrier. Cynthia, do you want to write a graphic novel? Is that in the future for you?
You know
I
what?
can just imagine.
I would love to draw one, but I'm not technically, I can draw a bit, but again, I would do like 2 panels. It would take me 6 months and then I'd be bored. Then I'd be like, but I always had an idea for a middle grade that would work as a graphic novel.
Ooh,
Mm.
exciting. I'm looking forward to our 2028 graphic novel
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
I realised though that I didn't even explain what the graphic novel I'm doing is about. So I'll just pitch it. So it's called The Victors. It's out in May 2026, so not long now. And it's illustrated by an amazing Irish illustrator called Beth Fuller. And it is about a boy who there was a prophecy that he was going to save the world and be the chosen one. And he fulfilled that prophecy and defeated this demon overlord that was attacking the world when he was 14. And he lost his magic in the final battle, and his best friend died. And so it's very traumatizing. And the story is now set when he's in his second year of uni. He's really depressed. He's got PTSD. He just wants to be left alone. But he is the most famous person on campus, and everyone thinks he's a huge celebrity and wants to be his friend. And it's about him finding his way back from this kind of hollow shell of grief that he's turned into since the war.
That
Oh,
sounds amazing. And yeah, that's really clever to look at the story at that point.
afterwards, yeah,
Yeah,
because you never
yeah.
see that
Love that.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Bren, who are you reading at the moment?
I am so excited to talk about this. I was going through my books like, which one do I want to talk about? And the one I have chosen is The Summer War by Naomi Novik, who is kind of like my writer crush. I'm obsessed with her. And she is another author who's actually very invested in the fandom world. Naomi Novik is one of the creators of Archive of Our Own, the fandom
Okay.
website. She programmed it. and a lot of her work is still in fan fiction space. But she also writes the most amazing original stories, including Temeraire, which is a Napoleonic take on dragons. And her latest book, The Summer War, is a very short novella. It's not long at all, but it's completely perfectly plotted and crafted. And it's set in this fantasy world where there's like a veil between the human world and the fairy world. And every year during the summer, the fairies like attack the human world. And there's this fight on the veil line. And then when winter returns, they have to go back to the fairy world. And then the fight continues the next year. And the fairies are immortal. So this same battle has been going on for hundreds of years. And it's about one girl who doesn't realize she's magic and accidentally, when she's mad at her brother, curses him to never be loved. And so he ends up just going off, roaming the world and ends up in the fairy world. And she has to go and try and get him back. And every element means something. It's like one of those books where like every word is important, and it's all like, I like to think of her writing as like clockwork, where it's all like rotating and coming to this end result. But when you're in it, you don't see the clockwork. You're just like, wow, this is so magical. I have no idea how she's going to resolve all this. And then suddenly they all click into place and you're like, oh, it was all being set up the whole time. And that is the payoff. So yeah, I love Naomi Novik's books, and this is such a good introduction because it's such a short, sweet novella that would be great to read over the holidays.
It's gorgeous. Did you see
very satisfying?
The edges.
Yeah, special edition sprayed edges.
Beautiful.
Got my Waterstones pre-order in.
So, Wren, where can we find you online?
So I'm on Instagram as Wren James Writer. That's Wren, Wren. Or on my website, wrenjames.co.uk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm going to just go and sit on my laptop scrolling all afternoon, getting really heavily invested in things that happened 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy losing 7 hours to the miscribed story.
Yeah.
It will change your brain.
Oh, well, take care. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's been
so
fab
much,
talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Browser history deleted.